Hello, this is Force 13 Live, and we have started our live coverage here at Force 13 HQ on Cyclone Berguitta, another live stream that we're running today, this evening, as it is in Mauritius. The current time there is 9 o'clock. Here in the UK it is just after 5 PM, and we will be here for the next 4 hours telling you about Cyclone Berguitta on its approach to Mauritius. I'm on the odd side of that camera there. This way, this way. We'll be talking about all sorts of things to do with the storm in the next few hours, and we are also joined by our team this evening, which I think is quite a compliment actually. A lot of people with us at this moment in time. You'll be able to hear them in the background somewhere. We have 8 on board, I think, including myself. Can we hear any of you?
Hello.
Yes.
Hello. Good evening.
Alright, lots of people with us this evening. I was going to read out everyone's name, but I couldn't actually see all their names there. We have Strat, Craig, Gabe, Orlando, Shravan, Isaac, and Addison. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Got your name. We are, of course, tracking the storm, which now has winds of 105 miles an hour and a pressure, or, well, we said 110 at the start of the show there, which is updated according to SATOPS. 110 miles an hour and a pressure of 958, I believe, intensifying. That is unofficial, though. This storm has barely moved 25 kilometers in 36 hours. We were here last night, and the storm was in exactly the same place, just with that eye popping out for the first time. And now it's very much with us. Here's our Discord team, over there somewhere. I'll clear those graphics off the screen, because we were showing those before the stream began, and it's getting in the way. But does anyone... well, I guess we'll start with Strat, because I heard him first. Is there anything you'd like to say about this storm, as you've seen it today so far?
I woke up to see it as a cyclone. The eye has been much more apparent. It's still an intensifying storm. It's more and more likely that it makes a direct impact on Mauritius and Réunion. So people there need to be getting prepared now, as they probably only have at least if the models are correct in terms of movement time, only about a day to do so.
Yeah, that's about right. Tomorrow night we're thinking at the moment. This storm is expected to impact there tomorrow night and could be a Category 3 by that point. Class 1 warnings are in effect for Mauritius. The Class 3 that was in effect for Rodrigues is gone now. And there's a pre-cyclone alert over in Rodrigues. If you've got any comments or questions for us whilst we're on the air, do send us a message on the YouTube page. If you're watching us live, start your message with Force 13 all in text. It will light up big and bright for me, like Eternal Bliss has done, saying Mateo Maurice is a joke, not taking this seriously and not informing people how strong and devastating the storm is. At the moment it certainly has the potential to do that, although it is still fairly small, but you know, it's trending further and further and further towards either a very near landfall or an actual landfall on both of these islands. And I think we can't say at this point that somewhere on these 2 islands there's going to be at least tropical storm force winds now.
Won't be surprised if there's any hurricane, like...
Well, yes.
Mind if I repeat some of the stuff that I said in the last stream, Nathan, to people who are here?
Now this is ironically advice from Mateo Mauritius.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
As per their site, I'm just going to go down the line here. It says to ensure that your house is in good condition and can withstand cyclone gusts. Trim tree branches likely to cause damages to your house, telephone, and electricity lines. Clear your property of loose material that your house can cause injury and damage during extreme winds. Identify secure places. Be acquainted with the nearest cyclone refugee centers. Identify secure places for your boat, or prepare an emergency kit consisting of 1 portable AM or FM radio on fresh batteries, 2 torch lamps, candles, matches, etc. 3 water containers, 4 canned food, can opener, stove with sufficient gas, 5 rice, flour, biscuits, cheese, etc. 6 first aid kit and essential medicines, 7 clothes secured in plastic bags, aid toolkit for emergency repairs: hammer, nail, rope, etc. And I also want to urge to please do this now while you still can, because I imagine the stores are going to be hectic now that the storm is stronger than we saw earlier. So I urge you to please do all these precautions now and not wait till I could get those 40, 50 mile an hour wind gusts when it's too late.
Now, I think in this hour it's probably best for us to explore the possibilities in timings more than anything on this storm, because it appears to us here that it's apparent that this storm is going to cause some impacts on these islands, but the key question that people are all asking is when. It is still speculative. There is still some doubt about actually when. The officials are saying, what are they saying?
Hold up.
And we'll also look at them all as well. Well, we had those track maps at the start of the show.
Yeah. Hold up.
I think they're saying the closest approach right now would be tomorrow evening into Wednesday.
Aha! Right here.
That's what I was thinking.
Right here.
Anyway, here's another look at, well, let me just mention, first of all, you might see on that image there's that other cyclone that is forming off the coast of Mozambique, and Meteo France Réunion think it's going to be another tropical storm very briefly. But go ahead.
It says around Thursday, Thursday when it moves out of Reunion, although it says around Wednesday it will move north of Mauritius and La Reunion.
Mm-hmm. And what about the Joint Typhoon Warning Center?
I think their map, I saw it briefly on the stream, I think it showed it going actually the south of Reunion, or to the east of it.
Something like that.
Looking it up right now. If it loads for me.
That leaves, regardless, both the islands straight in the line of fire.
I think you're trying to access the old JTWC page there, so it probably won't work.
Oh. Okay, well, I'm kind of scrambling here. Nope.
Sweat, I sent you an image if you want to see that.
Yeah, I saw it, thank you. I'm just more moderating.
But at the moment we are looking at the latest, these are the satellite estimated rainfall totals. This is not a radar, but it's probably the next best thing. It's 15-minute imagery of of estimated rainfall according to satellites, and you can clearly see the eye even on this picture, and in the eye wall around it, rainfall totals, well, I'll give you an idea. The blues there are up to 5 millimeters per hour, which is a fifth of an inch. The greens there is 5 to 15 generally inches millimeters per hour, which is 0.2 to 0.5 inches. The yellows into the oranges there is between half an inch and an inch per hour, and then you get into the sort of pink colors there, and that dark red as well in the most wet parts of the storm, I guess, in there, showing 40 millimeters per hour. If you see any of those red colors, which is nearly, well, just over 1.5 inches per hour. So high rain rates near the center of the storm, although still at this point not much rainfall at all is anywhere near Mauritius. The island of Rodrigues, you might just be able to see under its southern band there, just got hit by another little band of rainfall there, had a little bit of a shower by the looks of things, maybe a bit more than a little shower. But they are now under no warnings. Their class 3 warning was cancelled. But the storm is still barely moving. It's moved 15 miles in 36 hours and has intensified somehow.
Yeah. I mean, if it slows down even more, then a thing that people should be looking out for is upwelling. A good example of that is Hurricane Blanca of 2015, if you guys remember that, in the Eastern Pacific. Went from a Cat 4 to a Cat 1 due to upwelling, but staying in the same area. Hopefully that would happen to this storm to hopefully weaken it, but seeing that it's starting to move a little bit more than Blanca did, it might not be the case, but we'll see. And in terms of timing for the islands, force on the JTW. I haven't seen the Lower Union track yet, but the JTWC track is saying anywhere between the 17th to 18th of January is when the storm will be on its closest approach to Lower Union and Mauritius, if for those who wanted to know. And it's on the JTWC site, it's expected to peak as a 110 knot or Category 3 force cyclone.
Really? Now that's sort of in line with the HWRF model earlier today, which said something similar. Let's just go back to that JTWC track, or our stream, I guess. I'm still looking at Addison's picture. Well, there's our stream, but the JTWC map. They are saying that, are they?
Yeah, they're saying 110 knot peak.
But we were talking about timings there. When are they saying it's going to be closest to Mauritius?
They're saying it's going to be closest to Mauritius at around the 17th of January, 12Z, and the closest to Reunion on the 18th of January, 12Z.
So Wednesday evening for Mauritius, although you will start feeling the effects long before that.
Yeah. Especially tropical storm force winds too.
Storm surge. Don't forget storm surge.
Yeah. Okay, well,
on
that
Date
is
Mountainous Island.
Go ahead.
On Date Mountainous Island, so I don't think really, unless you live closer to the coast, storm surge will be an issue, because I think they have some hills there that they could be able to go up, but then again, the winds are going to be there, so there's like no use. But that's what the JTWC says.
You're looking at the satellite imagery here on this screen, and you can see its progress over the last few hours. It is moving southwest, but at a snail's pace. This is a loop that is over the course of about 12 hours or so. 11 hours I think this goes on for, and you can see how little it has moved in that time. And if you extrapolated that track out, it would never get to Mauritius, would it? But it is expected to accelerate. Now let's see if there's I know there were a lot of questions near the start. Do send your questions in. Start your message with Force 13 all in text. Can I join the team on Skype? Well, most of our team use Discord now actually, but we do still have a Skype account. Contact Force 13 all in text. We are also on Discord. My personal account is Fool13 FOOL13 #9094. You'll see them fly by on the screens on the left hand side there every so often if you want to take a look. What else do we have?
Jack?
Someone's asking
Jack?
how catastrophic.
Yeah, Jack says it will be an intense tropical cyclone when it hits Mauritius, ?
Potentially. It doesn't look good at the moment. Or most of the models are saying that it will be at least of its current intensity when it hits Mauritius.
And then a lot of people are saying, what's the probability and is the storm going to make landfall in Mauritius, as I'm seeing here.
Well, that is
at this point it looks like...
That is a interesting question, because Mauritius and Reunion are rather small islands, so they hardly ever get landfalls. As a matter of fact, believe it or not, Mauritius has never had a Category 3 or higher landfall, ever.
No.
Which shows you how difficult it is for a storm to actually make landfall there. But they've had a lot of storms that have... Well, they've had a few storms that maybe have given them Category 3 force winds, but the eye of the storm didn't actually move over land. It was just very close offshore. Because they're pretty small islands. It's like trying to, as I said yesterday, get the bullseye on a dartboard.
Or trying to hit Guam, too.
And Bermuda.
Wow. But
Bermuda's even smaller, much smaller than Mauritius.
Yeah. And
Someone was
somehow
asking what we think, how bad the storm will be in terms of land impacts a little while ago in chat.
Well, you know, if I was Mauritius right now, I don't know if they're saying they're planning to increase the warning level, but they should definitely be planning to increase the warning level. Class 1 at the moment in Mauritius, which is sort of equivalent to a tropical storm watch, I guess. If this was in the Atlantic, there'd be a hurricane warning out probably by now.
At least a watch.
Yeah.
I think the best reference for someone asking how catastrophic the storm could be is the CDPS scale. It's a stage 6 right now, if I'm not mistaken.
Stage 6 on the CDPS, that's mainly because it's moving so slowly. Obviously, it'll be moving faster by the time it gets to Mauritius, so that might actually go down a stage or two if it doesn't intensify.
If. That's a big if.
And
according
It is,
Someone
but
in
not
the
many. But we're not talking. Well, the HWRF, for instance, isn't saying Category 5 anymore. It's saying Category 3, borderline 3, 4, which is still bad. I don't know what the GFS said at the last model run. You know?
Someone's saying in chat that they plan to announce Class 2 warnings at 4 a.m. Mauritius time.
Yeah, it's no surprise.
And I guess speaking of damage, looks like you guys will at least see tropical storm force winds, if anything. Maybe Category 1 force winds.
I think it was like.
And I can tell you guys from experience, Category 1 force winds, depending on the infrastructure over there, it's probably gonna see you're probably gonna see some down tree branches, tree limbs all over the place. You're gonna see maybe some roofs being blown off, roof tiles being flown off, fences being blown down and moved away, maybe an occasional broken window, and power is probably, depending on how good the infrastructure is, I don't know how good it is, but power is probably or might go out over there if they get Category 1 force conditions or higher, I would imagine, from my experience at least.
Now I see the model runs are on the screen, so let's take a look at this.
Yeah, I'm just letting it load, which will take a bit. Although,
While it's loading,
does
someone asked
seem-
how big Berguitta's eye is. Do you guys know that?
It's a pretty small one, I have to say. It's about a quarter of the size of Mauritius.
oh, fine. Yeah, I see. Right here. Holy
I would
crap.
estimate maybe it's 10 miles at the most.
Yeah. Holy crap.
Quite hard to tell though. Might be slightly more.
Alright, it's fully loaded.
Because of the satellite
Fully-
resolution, it's a bit difficult to tell. The satellite resolution is pretty poor.
Yeah. Alright, it says here at the very least.
Maybe not. All we're getting is
Almost
pixels at the moment. Oh, there it is. We've got it back. As you were. Well, don't look at us. He's got us. Go on.
It says just around borderline Category 4 status. Yeah.
This isn't surface though, is it?
I don't think so. Hold up. Surface
Here, let me see if I can
pressure.
find it.
Yep. That's
Surface pressure.
better.
Okay, so
A 10-minute wind
close
speed.
approach.
So
Yeah,
10
this one makes a landfall directly in
very
Mauritius.
close to one, if not an actual landfall. Can't quite make out the outline there, so difficult to see. But looking at those wind speeds there, it's on for 96 knots, 10-minute. So we're looking there at high-end Category 3,
At the least.
according to the GFS. So GFS and HWRF are pretty much in good agreement in intensity, though HWRF has it a little bit further north. You can see on the left-hand side of the screen there, the HWRF forecast picture there, and I'll show that on the screen in full shortly as well.
Okay.
Someone in chat saying it was just updated to be a Category 3. We don't know.
Strat,
anything
you're
about
supposed to confirm that first,
it. Yeah.
Oh
I
my
know.
god.
before
Strat.
announcing it to the world. I'll go and do that for you.
Wait, there's. Well,
But no, that is not currently true.
Okay.
looking. Aha! I knew there was a wind. Yes, I remember this map. Right here. I can check and
Someone's asking if this. No, never mind.
What?
Someone's asking if this would be the first major of this year.
Well, we may as well say so. Well, actually, that is
Yeah.
quite contentious, because I think Ava was a major. So this, according to me at least, would be the second. But regardless, it has been a busy start in this part of the world. And I still feel that we are paralleling early 2006 this year. And that means activity will shift to the Pacific, and we could see some significant systems over near Australia and the Pacific as well later on in the year.
Okay, well, I figured out how high the waves might be. Definitely at least 40, according to this. Peak wave period, yeah. At least 40 feet of waves, or storm surge, if you want to put it to that.
Well, that is out at sea.
Yeah, but still. Close. And then the currents. Well, the currents don't really do much.
Wave heights on the high seas are usually higher than near the shore.
Yep.
Well, this is predicted, but still, this still insane.
Always got to take that into account.
If you are in Mauritius right now, by the way, do let us know your observations, as Ayad Singh already has. Trees, fences and electrical lines are already falling down and flying around. And do let us know where in Mauritius you are as well, if you're telling us what your current conditions are, because we'd love to know. It will really help our coverage to have people on the ground. Whose phone's that? It's not mine. Anyway, that's what we're looking at, and here is the latest national NHC enhanced imagery of the storm, and you can see how that one's been progressing. Again, you can make out the movement southwest slowly. That's over a 12-hour period there, and it's only moved maybe 20 miles.
Someone's saying that they're in Port Louis and that it's pretty quiet at the moment there, that there's not really much going on.
Right, yeah, well...
Which, considering the dry air, isn't really something that's too shocking.
No.
Yeah. Not much going on here.
Although, at least in the latest frames, it seems like it's finally starting to move a bit to the southwest.
It certainly is, and it's moving towards Mauritius, although maybe a little bit further south than at least Réunion expected. Now, I guess we probably want it to go as south as possible, because it doesn't look as though it's going to go too far north of the islands if it went the north way. I'm not sure, but it's difficult to see here, because you can see a little jog to the west at the end there as well. Difficult to establish a trend over such a short time period.
Where was...
I'm being told it's raining with really strong winds in the north of Mauritius at this moment in time.
Aha. Okay. No, that's not what I wanted.
But we're looking at that map there.
Someone saying in the region of Abin, the gusts were stronger today and the movement of the clouds were pretty fast, although they didn't say anything about rainfall.
Oh, yes, yes. I don't know if Gabe wants to add anything at this point in time. I don't think we've heard from you yet.
I'm just looking at the models, and the models are saying now that the storm will peak after it passes the islands.
Cool.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen
Blimey.
any. I don't think I've seen any model. I don't think I've seen any model say it's gonna make a landfall.
Now, do you mean a peak in pressure, wind, or both?
Both.
Okay, well that's interesting. Which model said that?
All of them.
Every single one?
All of them.
Okay.
Oh.
Pretty much
Well,
all
then
of them.
Well, I was looking at the GDFS, unless I didn't look
GFS.
clearly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, the GF.
Here, I'll recheck all of them. I'll recheck all of them just to be sure.
Your screen's a little bit blurry there. What's the pressure on that near the landfall?
947, and then it just increases and decreases afterwards.
Right. So 947 would correlate probably to a category 3 there. Bearing in mind that the pressure's probably sinking now into the 950s already, makes you wonder.
Yeah, it doesn't re-intensify within pressure, but if I look into not surface pressure, just let me check back here. Now I can finally pronounce it. Only those. There we go. Come on now.
And just to let you know what the last bulletin from Meteo France said, they said that the wind speed was at 105 miles per hour, like the Joint Temporary Warning Centre, and the pressure, they say 940 millibars, which I think is a little high, little low rather, little extreme, and they predict that it will peak with 115 mile an hour winds in the next 12 hours. Their next update will follow not too long from now. I think we're looking at the next hour. In about an hour's time we'll probably have an update from Meteo France La Réunion. But it's certainly going to be a long evening. We're here for a 4-hour period tonight. We'll be here till 1 AM in Mauritius, and we'll have some more updates after that tonight. Our full schedule we can actually tell you because I think it's pretty mapped out. We'll probably do another update maybe at 2 in the morning, just a short update for viewers who just want to catch up, and another one at 6 AM Mauritius time tomorrow morning, Tuesday. We will also probably be running more live coverage at a similar time tomorrow from I think from 9 PM local time, probably the same as today till 1 in the morning, depending on what actually is going on, because if the storm is making landfall at that point we'll be staying on the air, of course. But schedules are all crazy at the moment.
Okay, I was wrong. 939. I was looking at
9:39. That's when?
Tomorrow on Tuesday at 12Z. It says.
Okay.
So yeah, rapid intensification is possible.
Well, it's sort of happened.
Sorta, I would say significantly strengthening.
So here's a question: what will really happen if it actually makes landfall? Should we be worried? Well, yes.
I would hope. I would think.
Worried.
Well, you know, Mauritius, as I say, has never had a major hurricane landfall of Category 3 or higher, so they've probably never really had a proper eye experience. When the eye wall comes in, and then the eye will pass over, and some people who don't know their stuff have a false sense of security there, and the other eye wall comes with winds going in the opposite direction and completely cleans out the area, really, if it's a strong typhoon or hurricane.
Cyclone in this part of the world.
Although there is a blanket term, cyclone, indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Our friend in our chat room here from Mauritius is saying that there is already damage occurring in Mauritius right now.
Yeah, well, there was already some effects, I don't know to what extent, on Rodrigues yesterday and today, because they had tropical storm force winds and very, I don't know how much rain, but they've had a lot of rain. Let me see if I can find out satellite estimated rains whilst we take a look at that screen share for a moment or two there, if that's okay with you.
That's fine. I couldn't really find, well, There isn't any data for wind shear in the Indian Ocean, so we're stuck with the one frame we used yesterday. Yeah.
It's not worth using it because it's outdated by a long shot.
Oh,
It's
it
on
is.
24
And
hours.
that is the voice of Craig out of nowhere in the background.
Yeah, not worth using this. I need to find another wind shear map somehow.
What I
Finding
do
one.
have now is the rainfall accumulation graphic, which we can look at. This here is the rainfall accumulation from the storm in the last 24 hours. This is satellite derived. You can just about, I think somewhere there is the island of Rodrigues. Can't quite make it out actually. But I think by the looks of this map here, they've probably had about 5 inches of rainfall. Near the centre of the storm there, where it's been stalling for a day. This is as of 12 Zulu, by the way, so it's nearly 6 hours old. But near the centre of the storm, where it's been stalling for the best part of 2 days, now the rainfall amounts have probably been around 10 inches. So, thankfully for Rodrigues, the storm didn't stall right over that island. Back to that screen share then. Which model are we looking at now?
Tropical has thoughts on tropical depression. We were looking at the G. I was looking here because I knew there was over here in the G there was a wind shear map.
99S, which has been designated as Tropical Depression 4 by Meteo France, indeed. They think it's going to be a brief tropical storm. Regardless, it's probably going to cause significant amounts of flooding. Let's see if we can get it on the imagery here. If we zoom out, you'll be able to see that storm as well. It's just off the coast of northern Mozambique, to the northwest of Madagascar and to the southwest of the Comoros Islands. And once all the imagery loads, should be able to see all that again. There it is. So it's that system northwest of Madagascar there has been designated as a depression. It's actually bigger in aerial coverage than Berguitta is, sort of. But it's much weaker, with winds of around 30 miles per hour. The Joint Typhoon Warning Centre haven't recognised it, but either way it's going to cause significant rainfall over Mozambique, which I don't know what their situation currently is, but often when storms impact they usually get flooding, and they've had some really significant flood events in the past. But it's a very moist environment there, and Cyclone Berguitta still fighting off all that dry air. It's such a contrast actually between the storm and that dry air which extends over Mauritius and still dominates there. I mean, off the satellite imagery, well, that was earlier today, I'm not sure about now, because one of the viewers was talking about rain, but if you look at the satellite imagery alone, I'm not seeing much in the way of rain.
Oh yeah, I was looking in this image in 90W.
Oh
Okay.
god, that thing's still a thing?
That's the other system that we've got in the world. 90W, an invest in
Yeah.
the Western Pacific, South China Sea off the coast of Malaysia.
Yeah, not much worth talking about.
Very
other
low
than-
latitude, looks terrible.
Yeah, I'm
I-
going to briefly
Looks terrible. It's terrible.
I'm going to briefly screen share. This is a picture from Mauritius right now. Down trees are already there, and as the storm approaches, there will be continuously more to come.
So a tree
yeah.
has fallen.
Yeah, damage has already started, and the storm is still significantly further out, and conditions will just
This is its
continue to get worse as
outflow.
the next days go on. Yeah, it is just the outflow.
If you're getting damage from outflowing winds from a really significant cyclone, I would be deeply concerned. I want to share that image that Isaac just posted.
Yeah, I got it. And then here's one of the most recent satellite images that Isaac has just posted in our chat room of Bermuda.
That I hate to say it has definitely gotten bigger and the structure has improved. The eye is a lot more well defined. It's probably the best that eye's looked all day. around the eye wall, so yeah, shaped. I'm going pear-shaped quickly.
Hello?
I noticed. I think earlier
Oh.
today the southern eye wall is a bit weaker. Looks like it's starting to regain its strength and stop being as open to dry
The thing is, I've been having trouble with RAM and its updating imagery. It's been about as good as a chocolate fire guard at times.
And I would also like to say too, because there's damage going on, please take your cyclone precautions, I guess, while you're still getting, I guess, the light stuff of it right now, and not when you're getting 40, 50 mile an hour gusts. I could go ahead and read out the cyclone information and precautions page here on Met Service page. It says, ensure that your house is in good condition and can withstand cyclone gusts. Trim tree branches. That's a big thing you need to do.
And those gusts are going to be high as well.
Yeah, and trim tree branches likely to cause damages to your house, telephone, and electricity lines. Clear your property of loose material that can cause injury and damage during extreme winds. Identify secure places for your boat. Be acquainted with the nearest cyclone refugee centers. Prepare an emergency kit consisting of 1. Portable AM/FM radio and fresh batteries. 2. Torch, lamps, candles, matches, etc. 3. Water containers. 4. Canned food, can opener, stove with sufficient gas. 5. Rice, flour, biscuits, cheese, etc. 6. First aid kit and essential medicines. 7. Closed and secured plastic bags. 8. Toolkit for emergency repairs, hammer, nail, rope, etc. Before a cyclone comes. So I want to stress, please do this now while you're still getting relatively light wind speaking before the storm comes here. To do it now and not wait till you get those 40, 50 mile an hour gusts when it's too late to do anything.
And I think in Mauritius, correct me if I'm wrong on the viewing public, but I believe today has just been another normal day over in Mauritius. I think they're starting to close everything down tomorrow, which means that I guess people have only had this evening to actually start their preparations so far, and hopefully all of tomorrow. There will still be some amount of time tomorrow, but they should be completing preparations by then.
Yeah, definitely.
Sorry, what's that, Craig?
Anyway.
The earlier you make your preparations, the better, and not when you're getting those 50, 60 mile an hour wind gusts. It's pretty much too late. So
this cyclone's not going to wait on you to do your preparations. It's not going to give you about, say, 5 more minutes to get your house more cyclone proof as you can. It's going to come and hit you whether you like it or not.
Like,
better get ready.
So it's better to prepare right now, in this moment, than to prepare 3 hours later when you're getting those, like I said, 50, 60 mile an hour wind gusts, when pretty much every store and everything's going to be closed and it's just going to be shelters open pretty much.
Yeah, so people tell us schools will be closed tomorrow and everything else closes down only when they issue class 3 warnings, which I guess is why some people are complaining about the Mauritius Weather Service, because they haven't put class 3 warnings in effect yet.
I don't know whether they might come into effect tomorrow.
Well, you would hope so.
Especially considering the current outlook of the storm.
People want us to talk about the landfall. Well, I don't think we can really do that, since we don't exactly know what the storm's going to do, and anyone who tells you they do is not telling the truth. We don't really know what this storm is going to do, where and when or how or if it's going to make landfall. Although we expect that at the moment the models are trending the way they're trending, it looks like the eye wall may well make landfall, if not the eye. And that would be on...
It's worse, if you think about
Wednesday.
Regardless of what part of the storm hits you, it's going to be an absolute journey from hell. If the eye passes over land or not, eye wall or not, it's not going to be pleasant.
Yeah.
This thing does ramp up to, say, category 3 or stronger. Not saying it could, but it might.
It is a bit concerning though, because you know it is darkness in Mauritius now, so people won't really be doing anything to prepare at this moment in time, because you can't really see that people will probably start tomorrow. But
Right.
you know, well, let's just hope it doesn't start moving quickly, because if it does, then tropical storm force winds will arrive before the end of tomorrow.
I just wanted to point out something else. Hank said in the Discord room. So it seems as if the dry air advex into a weakness in Berguitta's core at the mid to upper levels could potentially weaken. Again, potentially weaken the storm as it moves closer to the islands. But it depends on how that storm's going to fight off that dry air as it heads down south.
Well, Meteo France have been maintaining really that the storm was going to peak before reaching the islands and then weaken a little. We can't bet on that though.
Yeah, but hopefully that dry air is going to get into that and disrupt it, but no guarantees there. Just wanted to point that out too. And like we're saying, prepare for the storm now while you still can, while you're still getting these relatively light-speaking gusts before the storm comes through. And not even if it doesn't make landfall, you still need to be prepared for this thing, just in case it does get, you know, uncomfortably close to the islands. It's better to be safe than sorry. I mean, we've learned that with Harvey. We've learned that with plenty of storms in the past. So just be prepared for this thing.
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of people will be tuning in for the first time to our coverage at this point. And a Class 1 warning is in effect for Mauritius. A pre-cyclone alert is in effect for Réunion. The Meteorological Services are certainly getting prepared for this, although you can see the storm there. It's barely moved anywhere in the last 36 hours, but it is starting to move with a little bit more earnest in the last few hours. It's probably moved about 20 miles in the last 12 hours. Prior to that, it moved probably 5 or 10 in 24 hours. So it's not moving very quickly, but it is, by the looks of things, starting to get a move on. But as we do our coverage here and every new image comes in, it's a progression. We sort of go into uncharted territory. We don't really know what the storm is exactly going to do next. It might take a wobble, it might not be a sustained wobble, it might be a temporary measure. Same with intensity, which can sometimes fluctuate as well. And as we see satellite imagery getting better over the years as well, those little signals, which may be true or false, get even more difficult to decipher, I suppose. We've got to look at the big picture and how it is progressing over the course of a few hours to get a better impression of where exactly the storm's going to go and how strong.
Yeah. But, has any of the sites updated yet, or is it too early for that?
Well, the Réunion should be coming out with another update. Their track map might come out soon. But their next update will be, hopefully with the intensity as well, will be at around 45 minutes from now.
And I'm sure a lot of people are asking, but so what is the current intensity on the storm right now? I think 105 miles an hour, something like that.
Well, we went with 110 at the last hour, which is intriguing. It's certainly looking interesting. The eye is still a little bit shallow. The eye wall is certainly there, and I don't know whether that's intensifying at all or not. Hard to tell.
Minus 80 is back on the northern side, but
It's got a significant eye wall. Let's just get the cloud top imagery running again. Here it is.
it's been running incredibly slow. Very slow.
Sure, it's not your internet connection.
Let's say they decide to go straight up die along with everything else, literally.
So now you get
Straight
connection
up
troubles.
died. Sims didn't update since 18Z yesterday in some places. Ram decided to just die a death and just drop dead. So
wow. I'm noticing the cyclone seems to be getting progressively well defined in the last frame here. I'm gonna see if I can share that in a second here. but it seems like it's trying to get more defined here, which is bad news for Mauritius. Let's see here.
Here's a question. Could it stall between Mauritius and Réunion like it did next to Rodrigues? Well, I don't think so.
Like, oh.
It'll be on the move by then. I mean, Carlos sort of did a similar thing at a weaker intensity. You know, it was stalling a little bit north of the islands, and then it got going, and it lost all of its activity. But once they get going, and usually by the time they get to the islands, they're on the move and they're going. And Carlos continued on, didn't it? Went a little bit slowly around the west of Réunion and intensified into Category 1, and then went off out to sea. Do you think we're getting on for Category 3 yet?
I mean...
This trend is definitely southwest, though. It's tracking directly towards the islands.
Mm.
It's certainly getting there.
But surely.
It just...
Someone's asking how this compares to Cyclone Berguitta or Bergna.
Well, Hollanda, which of course occurred in 1994 and is the storm that most people remember in Mauritius, so I'm told, was pretty devastating. And that one passed just north of Mauritius, or sort of skirted between the two islands from the northeast to southwest as a Category 3. So we could be looking at something akin to that.
Mm.
But it's all could be's and might
satellite
be's and
photo
might not be's, and we don't know for sure yet.
And here's the latest satellite photo courtesy of Isaac.
Or
definitely
Meteosat, but whatever. Meteosat. I hate how the satellites are bad, but anyways.
Yeah.
It's a close one,
It's like
isn't
using
it?
Ghost. It's like using Ghost 3 in 2017.
This one's from a few hours ago. You can notice the eastern eye wall was weaker then, and it's re-solidified itself significantly since that time.
They're starting to wrap.
Yeah, it's getting me concerned
Like
here.
You see the
Getting
curve
actually
down
more
right here as
flush
well.
and tight to the eye wall.
Yeah. I mean, if it does that even more, it could potentially try fighting off that dry air then. That might be trying to get into it when it gets more south.
Its outflow is going to the west where the dry air is, so that before the outflow start to curve south. That's probably what's going to be holding it off for now.
That's bad. It's what's even worse is that it's moving slowly too, so it has like plenty of time to strengthen if it wanted to even more.
Action
Yeah,
starting
the
to get
conditions
tight
do
and flush to the eye wall. That's where you really need to start getting concerned if you're seeing convection that strong and that tight to the eye wall.
Yeah. It's becoming a really serious situation for those islands. But again, we'll see. It's hard to say whether it'll make a landfall or not, but we'll find out in the next pretty much day from now.
Yeah, and that's the latest satellite imagery.
Oh, how the eye has definitely gotten bigger. It's not as big as not as small as it was earlier on today.
Yeah.
Now that, of course, happens to most eyes, after all.
Yeah,
But,
pretty much.
It is doing, but more defined as well, isn't it?
I haven't looked at microwave
Perhaps
imagery yet. So.
well, definitely deepening in those latest images that we've just been presented.
The eye's been showing signs of expansion during the course of today, hence why the cloud top fluctuations, that's what it's pretty much been basing itself to do, is expand its eye. But pretty much frames that it has definitely gotten expanded. And looking at the recent images, as Nathan said, it is deepening. That eye is getting clearer. If anything else is going to come up in microwave imagery, probably not until after the 18Z advisory, which is not until, well, say, another hour or so yet. Here we go.
Yeah, about half an hour or less till we find out more from La Reunion. Just stay with us for a few minutes here. I'm just doing some calculations. If you've got any questions or comments for us whilst we're on the air, do send a message. Start your message with Force 13 all in text on the YouTube page right now. And we'll obviously answer your questions, or Strat will. Or someone here will. But it will light up, and that's nice, because when the comments get quite congested at times, if someone tags us so that we know that our attention is required, then it's quite easy for us.
Yeah.
But at the moment, the storm
Just
still
jump to it there,
appears
man.
to be moving to the southwest.
But looking at it during the course of the day, it's I have to say it definitely looks to have been improving. Cloud top fluctuations in terms of warming and cooling, but a lot better because the eye. Maybe that's because the eye is bigger and the eye is not small. And what would be a word to describe the smaller eye that it was today?
Irregular. I don't know. Pinhole.
Probably disorganized and very really overcast in the eye, so the eyes probably got more of a chance to clear out with it being bigger. Not much bigger from what I'm seeing on the RAM imagery, but you know, it's big enough.
Now, is that a microwave image there? That's an odd microwave image that's just been posted in here.
Yeah, the one that's of very terrible quality from RAM.
Yeah.
It is very
I'm
so
trying to get the
terrible.
other
I'm not
one.
even going to show it.
I'm trying to get the other one. The better.
That's why I don't really refer to RAM microwave imagery unless Sims is being as slow as a week in a jail. But
I seem to be
you know,
having a lot of questions asking us of opinions of completely different storms. I'm not going to really attempt to answer those right now because my response will not be good enough because our attention is undividedly on this storm. Do you think Tropical Depression 4 will become the next named storm? Well, Reunion thinks so. The eye temperature has been asked of us. I think it was somewhere around the -10 range, probably, in Celsius. Once it gets into those positive numbers, you know you've got a really intense storm on your hands. And Craig, over to your screen share.
So here's the moisture that's in the vicinity of the current cyclone. There you can see maybe the future next named storm in the Mozambique Channel, and a very moist environment, but also land interaction could be causing an issue. See how big the inflow of our current cyclone is coming over the Mozambique Channel, over Madagascar, and wrapping around. But you can see how the dry air here to its west is being blocked off. That's also a very bad sign for land areas. So yeah, but you can see how both inflows have gotten stronger over the course of today. So that's another bad sign. But you can see how the dry air, which is a main threat from what we can understand and work out without the sheer graphics being broken Sims. Looking at this,
very pretty though. You get to see the dynamics of that whole area.
And this, I would probably recommend it to use whilst using it to see how an invest going to set up or what it could do, where its inflow, where its outflow is going, or future storms that could be about to form. See, over Western Pacific, you see a weak circulation, but that probably won't form. But it's something. Yes, Isaac.
I sent some more images in chat, and I sent one of 99S, and I would like you to pull up that one because that one looks kind of interesting.
I can show that one. A microwave image of 99S. Ooh.
Yeah, it looks interesting.
It's trying to do something.
Oh, of course it is.
Interesting.
Blimey. Don't think the wind speeds are there for it, though, at the moment.
And I sent two images above that of we get the other storm of
Berguitta.
success.
I'll just say it for
I
you.
can't pronounce.
Berguitta is the name.
Success. Yeah, Berguitta.
Never mind that.
Yes. I can't spell.
No. Alright then, well, we're going to take a short break here at Force 13 HQ. We will be back pretty soon. At the other side of the hour, we'll have some more coverage on the storm. Our second of 4 hours of coverage tonight. We're here with you till 1 AM Mauritius time. We're just coming on for 10 o'clock now. And latest from Reunion, they'll have an update we expect in a matter of moments. We'll bring it to you as soon as we can. We'll be back in just a few moments. Stay tuned.
Bye.
Continues in a moment. You can follow Force 13's outlets, the website force13.com, which is still under construction right now, but check it out anyway. You can also find us on YouTube. Subscribe if you haven't already, search Force 13 all in text. Same on Facebook, put us a like on there as well, and you can also send us a message there, or on Twitter. We're at Force 13, the handle on Twitter. You can also add our official account Force 13 on Skype, or add my personal account on Discord, Fool13 at extension 9094. Also for this storm, we've teamed up with Mateo a Cyclone Maurice. Check out their Facebook page for latest discussion there too. You're watching Force 13's live streaming service. Join us in the second hour of coverage on Cyclone Berguitta. Get this, we are now calling this a Category 3 storm, unofficial, with winds of 115 miles per hour and a pressure of 956. That's the latest from Force 13 HQ. That is our numbers only, not official at this time. Reunion will be updating momentarily, we expect, with more news on this. It's 10 o'clock in Mauritius, 6 p.m. here at Force 13 HQ. We are live with you until 1 o'clock local time. That's another 3 hours from now. Well, on that information, let's see if we can hear from our team again. We are joined by quite a few people. Orlando, Strat, Craig, Isaac and Gabe join us for this hour.
Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
We've not heard from Orlando yet, so let's start with you in this hour. What are your latest thoughts on Berguitta?
I think it's going to continue intensifying at this point. It's really a shocker at how fast it was able to get itself together. It took advantage of its healthy atmosphere. And so far, it's still developing, and unfortunately, it's going to be a big threat for Reunion and Mauritius.
Do you guys agree with the latest information? Category 3?
Yeah, I'll support that.
Yeah. I agree. It's a category.
Taking a look at its latest structure.
That's definitely what I would agree on as a Category 3. Microwave imagery throughout the day has supported at least a Category 3 strength, or around it, around Category 3 strength. The rest of the storm, I would probably agree. It probably is able to harbor around Category 3 forced winds, so 150 miles an hour does seem fair. 18Z is going to be interesting to see what they say, or see what it says, I should say.
It will. Now, what Craig's referring to is the ATCF, the automated system from the US Navy. They're not official, but it's the numbers that JTWC typically use, and the National Hurricane Center usually, but not always. But the officials are La Reunion, the regionalized center there, and they should be updating very soon indeed. I'll go and check that shortly, but does anyone want to screen share anything at this point?
Well, got a new satellite images off Meteosat.
I will screen share those as well.
Or Meteosat.
Yeah, and if anyone wants to brief us again, because we've got people coming in and out of the conversation all the time, if anyone wants to look at other imagery or anything at all, models, whatever you want to.
Here's the newest frame right here.
And that's definitely getting more well defined. That eye, well, you can see the structure is getting more and more circular, and the eye is getting, on that recent frame anyway, has gotten
Blimey.
a lot more defined.
The eyeball continues to strengthen.
I'm really concerned about this. I'm getting even more concerned because go to that last picture. Yeah, stay in that last picture there, Strat. It's around the eye wall and on main area of focus has now started to cool. That is.
Well, if you run that loop again, you'll see the northern eye wall is strengthened, and the eye temperature has increased as well. And a higher eye temperature and a colder cloud top indicates a stronger storm. For the
southern eye wall as well.
For the eye wall, colder cloud tops equals a stronger storm. For the eye, warmer eye equals a stronger storm, and both of those are currently happening.
And this is from significantly early in the day, maybe about 2 hours ago now. That's compared to the current structure of the storm, much more circular right now. Definitely more intense.
A lot more better defined. You can see how the storm structure itself has now started to expand, so the storm has started to grow in physical size. So that's going to also allow it to field of where it can draw in more moisture and pretty much even more.
You notice the eastern eye wall is much stronger than earlier. It looked pretty weak earlier, like about 2 hours ago. Now it's much more consolidated.
All round.
That's why, tracking stuff like this in the southern hemisphere you don't really have much to go on terms of resources, information, especially for stuff like that.
Just to do a position update for you that we had at the top of the hour there. The position now is 18.2 south, 62.7 east. That puts it 111 miles north-northwest of Rodrigues, 228 miles east-southeast of St. Brandon, and 365 miles east-northeast of Port Louis. Now, at the start of today, it was about 390 miles away from Port Louis, so it's gone down 25 miles.
Still moving pretty slow.
Yeah, but the main thing people need to know about, I guess I'll say it again, because I'm going to repeat it every few minutes or so, because as we get new people here. This is official information from the Met Service over there. It says, before the cyclone, ensure that your house is in good condition and can withstand cyclone gusts. Trim tree branches, that's a must. Tree trim branches likely to cause damages to your house. Telephone and electricity lines. Clear your property of loose material that can cause injury and damage during extreme winds. Identify secure places for your boat. Be acquainted with the nearest cyclone refugee centers. Prepare an emergency kit consisting of 1. Portable AM/FM radio and fresh batteries. 2. Torch, lamps, candles, matches, etc. 3. Water containers. 4. Canned food, can opener, stove with sufficient gas. 5. Rice, flour, biscuits, cheese, etc. 6. First aid kit and essential medicines. 7. Clothes in secured in plastic bags. 8. Toolkit for emergency repairs, hammer, nail, rope, etc. And please do this while you still can before those higher gusts come on in, while you still have a chance to. Anybody else could speak if they need to.
Yes, just to reiterate, there is a Class 1 warning in effect for Mauritius right now, though I do believe they'll be updating momentarily. They'll probably, well, we'll see what they'll do. We'll let you know if they update. And a pre-cyclone alert is in effect for Reunion. So this is pretty much update hour, which is what we often call it. Usually happens every 3 or 6 hours when something like this is going on, so this is when everything changes, I suppose. But we'll let you know what happens as soon as I am able to get to those updates. And I'm just checking through them now as we speak, just to see if anything there's any movement. But not at this time. But the next update from Mauritius is due in just a moment, so I'll be watching that quite closely. At this moment in time, if you want to send us a message on the YouTube page whilst we wait for that, do send us a message. Start your message with Force 13 all in text. We'll get to all of your questions. The more the merrier, I suppose, because the more questions we answer, hopefully the more prepared everyone can get, I suppose.
Yeah.
But until
I'm really getting
I mean,
worried about this thing now.
In this part of the world, the satellite images come in much less frequently, and it's not within the radar range, so there's a little bit of dead air here and there whilst we get our things together, because we do run out of things to talk about in this situation. It is live coverage. The storm is still some distance away from land, but if you have any ground observations, anyone in Mauritius, I know there's plenty of people watching, do send in your observations if you have anything of note.
Yeah, I think the TLC is in there too.
Someone wants you to change the active storm icons that keep passing by here on the left-hand side.
What's that?
Someone wants you to change the Berguitta's category.
Oh yeah, well that had changed, but I've not actually updated the page that shows the change. You'll see it now.
Can I have a defibrillator for Ram, because it's just had a major heart failure. It's just died.
Oh dear.
Right
That's
now,
a shame.
ASAP.
But if we look back at those, I have to say though, we look back at those last few hours, you can see that to me, it looks like the storm has done a little bit of a stair step, south and then west.
Well, now that you mention
the
it,
TPW web site, or I should say animation, and I would actually agree with that it's direction.
someone is saying for Mauritius that the winds here are abnormally strong.
Mm-hmm.
And another question: do you think it is likely to become a Category 4?
Well, you're looking at it at this rate.
That's the potential to it.
Are any of the models now predicting that, though? We've been talking about borderline Category 3, 4, but have they all backed off that?
Some models, yeah, some models are still predicting that. Last I checked. Check again.
Hmm. Indeed. Well, there we are. And the storm continues to move towards the southwest, and be keeping tabs on how fast it's been moving every hour. And I can tell you, in the last hour, it has moved to the southwest at 14 miles per hour. 14 miles has it moved in that last hour, by the looks of things. Though it is, but that's just 1 hour trend. I mean, if it moves 14 miles in 1 hour and then 0 miles the next hour, you're going to average out at 7. So things can change quite a lot, and the movement speed when they're indicated is usually over a 6-hour period average.
I must say I haven't. Nathan, what's the updates? What is the live stream and update schedule here?
Yeah, I did mention that in the last hour, but for those who weren't with us, we do have quite a busy update schedule. I'll tell you that in a moment, because I think we'll have the update for Mauritius by now. Hopefully. Or maybe their website has just gone down. Yes, they've got their update out. It is still a Class 1 warning in Mauritius. So let's bring us up the page showing this. Well, you can't see all of it, so I may as well just talk to you about it. Their second cyclone bulletin for Mauritius. During the last few hours, I'll just read off their page. Tropical Cyclone Berguitta has intensified rapidly into an intense tropical cyclone. At 10 o'clock, it was centered at about 550 kilometers to the east-northeast of Mauritius. Latitude 18.2 degrees south and 62.5 degrees east, according to them. Now moving towards the west-southwest at about 10 kilometers per hour, they say. On this trajectory, intense tropical cyclone Berguitta is approaching Mauritius and represents a direct threat to the island. Still Class 1, though. They're advised, public in Mauritius is advised to take preliminary precautions. Weather in Mauritius will be mostly cloudy, with passing showers mainly over the high grounds and the windward slopes. The showers will be more frequent and widespread as from tomorrow. Wind will blow from the southeast at about 40 kilometers in the meantime, strengthening gradually. The gusts may reach 100 kilometers per hour, that's about 60 miles an hour, tomorrow. Sea will be very rough, advised not to venture at sea. Well, that is quite obvious. But that's the latest bulletin out of Mauritius at this point. Our update schedule is as follows. We are live now. This is our second hour of coverage. We're here for 4 hours. We'll be finishing up at 1 AM Mauritius time. That is 9 PM UTC. We will have probably another short update, as we've been doing so far. One of those short updates with the graphics, the brand new graphics for this year, at about 2 o'clock local time, if anyone is still up. Though I recommend rest by that time, to be quite honest with you. And we'll have another update at 6 AM local time, a short update, and our next live event will be at the same time as today, so that is 9 PM till 1 AM at least tomorrow night. Definitely starting at 9 PM, and I think we'll have another live update. No, we'll have another recorded update slightly before that as well. So busy schedule, but basically we're going to be fluent and full of updates over the next 24 hours and beyond, so we won't be keeping people in the dark. But if you do have any questions in the meantime, you can always go to our social platforms on Facebook and Twitter, search Force13 all in text. You can add the same account on Skype, and you can add my personal account on Discord, Fool13 #9094. As for the time being, whilst we're alive, you can put in your comments on the chat feature. Start your mesh with Force 13, as 2 people already have, as I've been talking. 2P Productions says the warning will be upgraded to Class 2 tomorrow morning at 4:10. Well, that is when their next update will be, I believe. Is there an intermediate, though, at 1:10? I'm not sure. But they will have an update at that time, 4:10, definitely. And Kenny Elapan says, can Berguitta still grow in size? Well, it has been doing the whole time, so I guess the answer is yes. Yeah. Gabe?
I was about to touch on that.
Oh, you were.
Ask that question.
Well, what do you think?
But I'm looking at, yes, I think it is very possible, and I think it already is growing in size. I don't think it's a matter. I think this situation is not as less. I think the situation is less a matter of. Is it going to do it? It's just a matter of when.
Going to do what?
Doing that right. To intensify, strengthen its wind speeds, grow in size. It's not.
Logic doesn't apply to anything anymore.
Well, this isn't beyond the realms of possibility, what it's done so far. It's not the hugest shock, although we would have rather hoped that it didn't happen, but it has. And we're now looking at what we're calling, not yet official, a Category 3 with winds of 115 miles per hour. That is about 190 kilometers per hour or so. Or maybe a little bit less, 180s, something like that. Still pretty high. Gusts will of course be stronger, and it looks like we've got a rainstorm here at HQ now as well. Nothing to do with that storm. We're here in the UK. Local time here is 6:15. And obviously the pressure in this storm is falling as well. Craig, have you got any remarks to make on its microwave appearance?
Well, where do I finish with it? Oh,
we had one from earlier that I'm going to show on the screen. That picture with the red eye wall on it from 2:33 this afternoon, about 4 hours ago. Any remarks to make on that?
Stream, because the stream's taking its sweet time showing.
If you're watching the stream, you're buggered, Craig, because the stream's got at least a 15-second delay.
It just came up, so I'm not buggered. Well, that says it all. I mean, you can clearly see there that the western side of the eye wall has gotten stronger, and the eastern is also starting to wrap around in the eye. Is getting considerably bigger, but not much bigger. So it's. You can see how there, you can see that the tail to the south has gotten stronger throughout the day, along with its eye wall. So when you're starting to see red around the eye wall, and maybe a little bit of that slightly brownish golden color, if that's starting to show, which it looks to be showing on that image that Nathan is showing, it's a sign that the eye wall is A, strengthening, B, the storm is going to starting to think about strengthening even more. Cause alarm bells to start ringing, but storm has also remained small, tight, and compact on microwave in terms of its structure. So, in other words, its clouds has expanded, but the structure itself hasn't in some way. But I'm expecting that the structure itself will end up expanding over time. So once the does another pass and we end up finding the newer image when 18Z after 18Z advisories come out.
And that's going to be pretty soon as well. But we will have hopefully an update from Meteo France pretty soon too. This was
just
the last
almost done updating all
image
the
from Isaac that was posted there.
Almost done reviewing all the models.
You can see, and just looking at Archer, and the microwave imagery, you can just see how the storm has progressed via microwave imagery from pretty much its birth to right now. So the eye wall has gotten considerably stronger, much stronger, and is looking a lot more organized than what it was earlier today, where the eye wall was relatively weak.
What I'm going to bring to the people now is the latest HWRF model run from 12 Zulu, which is... But the runs say 12 Zulu on a timestamp, but they only make it to the internet by about this time. So it's 6 hours ago, but this is what it said then. And I'm looking at this for the first time with you. This is simulated radar. It's not real. It is a forecast from one of the computer models, and they have many runs throughout the day and they always change. So let's just have some discretion on this. So 104 knots by tomorrow. By this time tomorrow, they're saying. That's 120 miles an hour, a little bit stronger than it currently is. But we're probably looking more towards its motion here. Now, the HWRF, they're predicting the storm to get ever so close. Almost a landfall on Mauritius. The inner eye wall, the southeastern part, hits Mauritius. And that is the closest point of approach there, according to the HWRF model, on Tuesday night or early Wednesday morning at 115 miles an hour, which is its current intensity. So that is what we're looking at according to the HWRF. And then it moves on to the island of Reunion, and actually the latest HWRF says it's going to intensify between that and then move just north of Reunion with winds of at least 120 miles per hour. And sort of, actually, it goes all around the island. My goodness, I've not seen that. It does. That's so strange. Did you see that? It goes round the island and then intensifies again after Reunion to around 140 miles per hour as it goes towards the south. That is just one model run. They can be very different. Here's a full picture of what the wind expected over the islands according to that HWRF model run. As you can see, the islands are right in that track, and the green area there is tropical storm force winds, and you can see the wind field is pretty large. If this storm passes to the north of Mauritius and Reunion, they're guaranteed to get significant storm conditions because the wind field is the largest on the southern side. So if anything, we want the storm to pass to the south, but I don't think it will.
I've looked at all the models, and they all are saying that it'll intensify. All of the models are saying that it will intensify in some way after it passes the Reunion.
And I'd say, don't you think Mauritius should already be under Class 2? Warnings.
I think they
the
should
storm
be.
gets closer, they should be, but even now, I think they should be, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with.
Just to remind everyone of the warning system in Mauritius and Rodrigues, a Class 1 is issued 36 to 48 hours before Mauritius or Rodrigues is likely to be affected by gusts of 120 kilometers per hour, which I find an interesting criteria. Class 2 is issued so as to allow, as far as practical, according to them, 12 hours of daylight before the occurrence of gusts of 120 kilometers per hour. So my question is, why haven't they issued it then? Because it's not daylight right now. That I find a little bit baffling, to be honest. Class 3 issued so as to allow, as far as practical, 6 hours of daylight before the occurrence of gusts of 120 kilometers per hour. And Class 4 issued when gusts of 120 kilometers per hour have been recorded in some places and expected to continue. Now, we will probably end up getting the Class 4 no matter what, to be quite honest. Gusts of 120 kilometers per hour aren't particularly difficult to reach in a storm like this, even if it is far away. So, there we are. Yeah, I'm surprised they've not... I might even consider Class 3 at this point if I were them, to be quite honest with you. Because if it moves... I mean, you look at that latest satellite imagery and it automatically updates. So any new frames that come in, we'll see. It's starting to accelerate a little bit. And if it was to continue that, would there be 6 hours of daylight before they started getting gusts of 120 kilometers per hour? I'm not sure. Or 12 hours, rather. Would there be 12 hours? If it's less than 12 hours, they'll put out a Class 3. So confusing. But if you're watching us, you know what the deal is. And by tomorrow evening, we're expecting that Class 3 conditions will probably be met.
Yes, I'm honestly also a bit baffled how Class 2 is not already in effect.
Class 2, you say?
But Class 2 is in...
Yeah, that's what I was thought as I was reading off those criteria for the warnings. It seems...
Yeah, and Class 3 is going to be slowly approaching, or is going to be approaching in not too much time later. Here.
Don't know if anyone has got maybe a live wind field map or something. Well, we can look at the Joint Typhoon Warning Centre's map and to show you what their wind field trajectory was. Now, their next update will be in probably just after we go off air, ironically. But let's take a look at what their current, if we can get their page, their current graphic says. This was the Joint Typhoon Warning Centre's graphic as of 3 PM at UTC, which is about 3 hours ago. Quite difficult to see properly, but you can see those the circular regions there, the wind field, the wind quadrants, northeast, southeast, southwest, northwest. You can see quite easily there the southeastern part of the wind field there extends way beyond the island of Rodrigues, according to the JTWC. That's the red outline. That's for gale force of 40 miles an hour sustained or more. That's 65 kilometers per hour. The inner one, the dark red, which you can see a little bit further in there, is, let me just find it, it's 50 knots. So the 50 knot wind field is inside that, the darker red there. Now 50 knots is 60 miles per hour. That's roughly 100 kilometers per hour, or maybe 105. And the one further in there is the 64 knot area, which is the hurricane force zone. That's about 120 kilometers per hour. So you're looking at that, and according to their forecast from 3 hours ago, 48 hours away from Mauritius seeing 120 kilometer per hour winds. But their criteria goes by gusts, so that just compounds the situation even further. But suffice to say, if we were in the Atlantic watching this, and there was an island there where Mauritius is, then they'd be putting out hurricane watches, just to add some perspective.
Gonna try and bring this.
What now?
That unpronounceable name, god damn it, I can't damn pronounce.
Which one?
God damn it.
The storm name? Berguitta?
Damn it.
Well, don't pronounce the Mauritius places wrong, because people will complain.
Roasted, absolutely roasted.
Make sure.
I know what's at stake.
Go ahead, what were you going to say?
Once the screen share gets up, right, okay. This is an image that I've literally just been sent of the storm. Let's
just get that on the screen here. Okay.
You can see how well defined that eye has gotten. Before the previous image, this is the previous image that I was looking at. You can see there the eye is not as clear as what this image here is. This image, you can literally see the bottom of the eye, literally just see the ocean through it. Obviously this is an enhancement, but that also depicts that the storm is deepening along with possibly getting stronger. So if it's not it wasn't a category 3 earlier, it should be now.
Oh yeah.
Looking at that. But that, for me, that is impressive. That is very impressive. You can see how intense the thunderstorms are. You can actually see the newer thunderstorms, what it looks like blowing up around the actual eye wall.
I was just caught away there for a moment. Did you just say that's a category 4?
No.
Oh, good.
Come on, Nathan. Come on.
I was caught. I only had one ear on the stream there. I just had to make sure. So you were saying it has to be a category 3, correct?
Yes. If it wasn't a category 3 earlier,
yeah.
It's a cat 3 now. It has to be a cat 3 now. But as I was saying, god damn it. You can see here what looks to be the newer thunderstorms actually blowing up around the eye wall. which also signifies that the storm is trying to strengthen in terms of not just air pressure, but the main stuff that's going to do the damage, mainly the wind speed and rainfall. So pretty much from here, it's downhill.
ITLock14 says, how will the weather be tomorrow in Mauritius? Today was really sunny. Well, if we look at the water vapour imagery, we can see why it was really sunny in Mauritius today. Those red and black colours there are the end of the spectrum of the colours on this particular imagery, and you can see how much of a contrast we've got between the moist air, those blues and whites and greens, showing the highest amount of water vapour in the atmosphere, and then the reds and blacks with the lowest amount. So you can see it must have been a pretty sunny day over there today, although you can see 1 or 2 little yellow splodges entering the vicinity of Mauritius there. They might be some isolated showers and thunderstorms, which some people have been talking about, accompanied with winds, maybe a squall line or two, Craig. But you can see that the main part of the storm's influence is still far away, even on that latest image there, which is from just over an hour ago, as that eye clears out. But you can see a huge contrast just off the coast of Mauritius, a big battle between that dry air and that moist environment. But if the storm does start moving, you will probably start to feel a little bit more of that environment of the storm and higher winds and some more rain by the morning.
The reason why it's calm and sunny is pretty much the common saying, or the old cliche saying, calm before the storm, quite literally. If you've had any winds throughout the day, which I'm sure you probably have, all that will be is just the outflow from the cyclone. That's nowhere near as bad as it could be in, say, the next couple of days or so.
We are still waiting for an update from La Réunion. It should be due at any time. Their last update came out at 4:35 and we're now at 10:33, so it's due at any moment now, just like that Mauritius one was earlier. Just to reiterate, if you missed it, in Mauritius, a Class 1 warning remains in force. The next bulletin is at 4:10 and the warning will be upgraded to Class 2 at 4:10 in the morning tomorrow. According to Mauritius, it is 550 kilometers to the east-northeast, and it's moving west-southwest at 10 kilometers per hour, according to Mauritius. We'll have the news from La Réunion very shortly, as soon as they update their stuff, which is going to happen at any time, I believe, unless they decided they're going to have the night off. But we'll get the latest track from them, and the information too should follow not too long later. Just to show you what their current map looks like before the update, this was as of 4 PM, and you can see they predict the storm will actually peak before impacting the islands, but models and forecasts are saying all sorts of different things, and there's still a long way to go with this one. But we'll be here with you for another 2.5 hours with more coverage on this storm as we wait uneasily, I suppose. Start your message with Force 13 if you want to communicate with us live in the chat. And people are saying all sorts of lovely things about their Met service in Mauritius. I'll not comment on that. I don't know enough about their service. I don't know, but people are saying all sorts of bad things about the Mauritius Meteorological Service.
Oh dear.
I'm not going to comment. I don't know enough. I'm not going to get into that. But that's what I'm hearing. But there we go. Here is the current picture. Let's see if we can get that rain rate imagery back again from the... this is satellite estimated rainfall totals per hour. If you've not seen this imagery yet, you can make out the eye on that imagery as well there. It's not a radar. It looks a bit like a radar, but it's the next best thing since Mauritius doesn't yet have a radar in place. Only Réunion does. The blues there, starting from the very edge of the storm, working their way in, that's 0 to 5 millimeters of rain. That's about 0 to 0.2 inches per hour. The greens, starting at the lightest, darkest, is between 5 and about 12 millimeters per hour. That's about 0.2 to 0.5 inches per hour. And then you've got the yellows, light and then dark, 12 to 20 millimeters per hour. That is about 0.5 to 0.8 inches per hour. And then you've got an orange and then the pinks, which is 20 to 40 millimeters per hour. That is about 0.8 to 1.6 inches per hour. And then you've got the red shade, which you can see on one of those frames, but not many of them. That is 40 to 45 millimeters per hour, 1.6 to 1.8 inches per hour. And then you've got a dark purple, which I don't think we have on there, so I won't mention that at this stage. But that's for a higher amount still. That is rain rate per hour, so near the center of the storm the rain rates are pretty high, and a band went through Rodrigues not so long ago. You can see on that imagery. This covers a time period of about 3 hours in 15-minute intervals. The last image on this loop is from just 20 minutes ago. You can see it moving slowly closer towards Mauritius, but the satellite isn't picking up any rainfall over those islands right now. But I know that some people have mentioned on the ground about rainfall. I'll take their word for it. If you do have any ground observations for us, do let us know, and let us know your location within Mauritius. It might help out others. Let's see what we've got in the comments section then. There is quite a lot. Do you think this system has a chance of becoming a Category 4? It certainly does. It's already reached Category 3. It doesn't have much to go to get to Category 4. Conditions are still good. Someone is asking us, should I go to university tomorrow? If you're in Mauritius. No. Well, I think you should have the day off. Seriously, if they're still open, I think you should have the day off. Gabe?
I'm with Nathan. Since the storm is approaching, I would and Isaac's not here, I would seriously consider, and I would suggest that you use this time well to gather supplies and do everything Isaac said before, instead of going to, like this person said, going to university. I would not recommend it.
It's education, but life comes first.
Life versus education.
A few people have told me now from Mauritius that they've had a pretty torrid time recently with rainfall and high amounts of rainfall, saturated grounds already. So really the last thing we want to see is this storm with its significant amount of rainfall affecting the area. Let's see what else we have. People saying all sorts of things. Hold on a minute. Where did that go? I just lost that message there. I have a flight to Mauritius tomorrow morning. Should I cancel it, or will it be safe enough? We always have one of these questions. Well, it depends on your purpose, but I would be cancelling if I were you.
Yeah, unless you're going to physically chase the storm yourself, but then, albeit that...
Which we don't recommend.
We wouldn't really recommend it, but... depending on your purposes, as Nathan said. But, to be honest, regardless... cancel. Don't even bother. It's not worth it. Not with a cyclone bearing down on you.
Yes, you're risking. If you do go take the flight, you are actually putting your life at risk, and that's what we're trying to prevent here. In a way.
Along with the actual officials, because they don't really issue warnings for the goodness of their health. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
No.
We have an update from La Réunion, so let's go there now. This is the latest forecast map that they've put out, and they are now predicting a landfall on Réunion Island for the first time.
Gonna get the latest image of the cyclone up.
Oh boy!
Look at that. Not one bit.
Yep. That's the latest. They're predicting the storm again to weaken slightly before affecting the islands, but still a significant cyclone and then moving down towards the south. Their timings, they're saying that the storm will make its closest approach to Mauritius, basically glancing the northwestern coast there at about this time in 2 days. So Wednesday night we're looking at there, according to La Réunion, and they think it will make landfall on Réunion Island in the morning of Thursday as a significant cyclone with hurricane force winds. So if this forecast was to verify, which it might not, take note, there's a big cone all around it there. The storm can travel anywhere within that yellow shading. But if the track was to verify, we'd be looking at hurricane force winds on both of those islands in their entirety, and possibly stronger winds than that. So I would suggest not traveling to these islands if you're not there at the moment. You're in the safest place you are if you're not on those islands right now. So I would not travel there by plane, boat, or any other vehicle. So that's the latest from La Réunion. We'll have the specifics towards their wind speed and pressure in due course as well. We have 2 screen shares running. Who should we go to first?
I'm not bothered, really.
Here,
Well,
I'll be right back.
Okay, let's go to Addison first then. You're showing us not Berguitta, unfortunately. That, I'm guessing,
No, but
might be 98S.
yep, which is somehow starting to reach out.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I think we just had a short issue with the stream there. They can happen. It can be a little bit temperamental, but...
Another trio despair.
Now this is...
Let's see
okay,
how...
Go back a minute there. What's just happened here? That's long range. That's another cyclone. 2 more cyclones. 3 more cyclones in the South Indian Ocean. My God.
No,
Well,
how far they are.
That is far out, so don't take any stock into that.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't surprise me if that...
know.
You might want to turn your mic down as well. Wouldn't surprise me if that indeed happened. Given what we're looking at the moment.
Yeah, that'd be insane. And let's see how wrong the GF is later.
I just want to reiterate the latest from La Réunion. This storm now, according to them, has winds of, well, I don't know about the winds yet, but they're saying the pressure is still 940, which we still think is quite low, but you never know. And their position estimate is 18.2 degrees south, 62.6 degrees east. And that would make it, no, what's that? Trying to read French whilst broadcasting in English. Moving west-southwest at 7 kilometers per hour, according to their update. We will hopefully get to see what their forecast is and their wind speed on this storm in due course, which they always put out a little bit later. Let's go back to that screen share then. As soon as you can get me off the screen. There it is.
Okay.
Or should we look at Craig's?
It's up to you.
Yes.
But this is the latest image of the cyclone. You can see how large the eye is.
Gosh.
And a very large burst of convection
I
to the
think
north.
we're right with that Category 3 call.
Yeah. And what I'm concerned about is seeing as how you see these pixels of -80 starting to show up on the eastern side. I am worried about this -80 actually causing a, like a domino effect with cloud tops where a massive burst occurs.
Wow.
Okay. A massive burst of convection occurs, and then it causes a knock-on effect where it wraps around the entire eye wall.
Wow. Actually,
causing more intensification and the eye to clear even more, and that's exactly what's happening.
Crazy.
The eye has gotten a little bit bigger, but has also gotten more well defined, along with the structure of the storm has gotten more rounded, shall we say.
That is probably the best word to describe it right now. Rounded. Especially the eye and the eye wall there.
Is still improving. You can see how the outflow, you can see a nice strong burst of outflow coming from it. 2 waves of outflow, in fact, coming from out the west, the side into the storm. So that's another sign that the storm is producing strong thunderstorm activity,
crikey.
and the storm
Well,
is...
here's another perspective on that image, Craig. Take a look at this. That is frighteningly strong by the looks of things, and look at that eye wall developing and its structure there. I'm just trying to get a closer in picture on this. Is really developing, and let's see if we can just grab an eye temperature in there, if possible. A maximum eye temperature is -5 Celsius, which is, well, probably getting towards mid-range category 3, but it has to keep it up, of course, if we're going to call it that. But this storm is still intensifying, and it is not slowing down.
I'm also concerned about the not let alone the strong burst, but I'm also noticing a small little tower near the southwestern sector of the eye wall. I'm concerned about that as well, of what I was going on about, that knock-on effect with the massive surge of convection of
So now,
-80.
when we look at it in
the knock-on effect.
when we look at it in context here, the whole 12-hour loop, you can see how the storm has done a sort of an arc, beginning to the south and then towards the west, and now it still appears to be moving almost due west, and that eye has really come out in that last hour.
Really worrying now, seeing that the storm's eye was semi-struggling to clear out, but now it's really cleared out.
Well, it's on its way.
It's worrying. It really is worrying, because that doesn't just mean the storm is deepening, but that also means the storm could also be strengthening in terms of wind speed. So it's downhill from here. There's no other way about it. It's literally downhill from here.
You could say that. But that, at the moment, is what we're looking at right now.
Oh my gosh.
Minimum cloud tops in there? You think they're at -70 yet, maybe?
There's cloud tops in there around -70, but if, as I said, if this supposed knock-on effect of what I was saying with that large burst in the northern side, and also noticing the smaller burst in the southwestern side of the eye wall, if that produces a knock-on effect where it wraps round an area of colder cloud tops, say the -80 spread around it, not saying it's going to happen, but there is that chance that it might. But then, dear God.
Alright, we're just regrouping here for a moment or two. If anyone has any questions for us that we can pick up on the comments section shortly, do let us know. And Craig, you might want to take a look at the latest RAM image, because I think there's a new one out.
Let's have a look. Let's have a little investigation, shall we?
I don't know if you've seen it or not, but we may as well present it to the viewers again.
That was the one I was showing.
It was? Difficult to tell.
The one with a strong burst of -80 to the north.
Why, yes.
Yeah, right here.
How amazing that the cyclone looks, let alone...
Well, there is that latest frame. That image is as of 6 PM, which is 50 minutes ago. The one that we're looking at on the screen now. That's when that loop ends. So this is where we're at right now as we approach the end of our second hour of coverage here, and this storm continues to grow stronger, although it is starting to move again.
But surely.
Well, off topic of tropical cyclones, I'm seeing a large blob of winter storm warnings.
Winter storm warnings. Oh boy. Well, that is a little bit slightly
Hey,
unrelated to our current coverage.
Yeah.
I know, sorry, but I just wanted to note, because holy crap, that's far south.
I see.
Well, anyway.
Yes.
You can briefly mention it though. Winter weather occurring where?
Central and southern Texas, as well as northern Louisiana and Arkansas. So yeah, far south.
Well, for our American viewers, now you know, and hopefully you won't get any coughing fits like our member over there. Well, this is where we are at right now, and we continue to look at the satellite imagery as this storm continues to grow stronger. So we feel, that's what it looks like. Whether it actually is, well, it must be. But still only a Class 1 warning in effect for Mauritius as we get towards the end of this hour. and
past.
they should have upgraded that.
I definitely think so. I agree.
Or there's nothing we can really do about it. We can't just go down to Mauritius.
Now, well, in the
wherever
comment
and
section,
shoot.
people are still asking us about analyses of storms that happened years ago that weren't even in this area. I would not like to comment on those at this point whilst we're tracking this storm, because our undivided attention is on this, and we couldn't give you a proper answer on that at this moment in time.
Time and a place for
any
that.
questions related to this storm or previous storms that are similar to this storm in location, would be more than happy to answer your questions. But there we are. If you do send us a message, start your message with Force 13 all in text, and we'll be able to answer your questions quickly. But this is the latest as the storm continues to move southwest after stalling for quite some time just northwest of Rodrigues, about 120 miles to the northwest, about 150 kilometers, and it stalled there for about 36 hours, didn't it, really? 1.5 days of stalling, which is something we don't see very often. Managed to intensify whilst it stalled all the while.
Yeah, I want to go ahead and comment that the fact that yesterday during the live streams we were saying that, or you were saying that,
yep,
if it keeps stalling, eventually those sea surface temperatures are gonna become cool and it'll start to weaken the storm. It's a little bit more concerning now, the fact that the storm is starting to move. Those sea surface temperatures will also not be able to weaken in the storm, so there's almost, other than dry air and possible shear, which I don't see becoming a problem for it. It looks like the storm is in an amazing environment, and it's an even worse situation than we had yesterday for Mauritius.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's get some more questions.
That goes down to what I was saying yesterday about it when it was only a tropical storm getting ready to become a cyclone. In terms of cyclone lottery, this thing has hit the jackpot in terms of good favorable conditions. In terms of land areas, this is not the jackpot.
Well,
the jackpot for land areas would be for this just to suddenly straight up die.
Okay, well, let's get some more questions. From Ion News, there almost is an expectation that Berguitta makes landfall in Mauritius. Could you please maybe give an idea? Well, it is... I mean, we are always very cautious in... What on earth was that in the background? But we're always very cautious in what we're actually providing here and what we think is going to happen. The models, though, overall are pretty much trending towards a potential landfall, not an actual landfall, though, yet. It is very difficult for a storm to make a complete landfall on these islands, after all. They are very small in relation to these storms, and it is quite rare, although it doesn't really mean much difference if the storm doesn't make landfall if the eye wall strikes the island, because still the island will get the strongest winds. Let's see what else we have. Do you think it will have effects on Madagascar? Now, that's an interesting question. The southeastern coast of Madagascar might get some tropical storm force winds, possibly. I don't expect that effects will be huge on Madagascar, but people need to be prepared along the coast nonetheless. Other questions. How does this cyclone compare to Cyclone Dina of 2002? That was a Category 4 that passed to the north of the islands. We sincerely hope that doesn't happen with this storm, because I expect that it's probably got a larger wind field to the south than Dina did. Don't know for sure, because I don't know everything about that storm, but still, it's got a very large wind field to the south, so if it passes to the north, it's bad news, let's just say that. What's the minimal distance it will pass from Mauritius, and what is the percentage risk of having a landfall? Well, we have our percentages on the left-hand side of the screen every so often, talking about percentage chances of tropical storm force winds. Percentage chance of an actual landfall with the eye moving over is probably at the moment 20 to 30%. However, that might rise as the storm continues to draw closer. What damage could it wreak maybe in comparison to recent storms elsewhere in the last years? Well, that is another point to pick up on, because impacts in Mauritius have been quite minimal in recent years. There's not really been a huge storm that has impacted the islands, to be honest, apart from Rodrigues maybe with Bansi and other systems like that. We'll talk more about that in the next hour, I suppose. Gives us something else to talk about, and we'll have a lot more to tidy up as well, such as the latest from La Réunion. We'll have more updates, and we'll probably regroup and put everything else together. If you've got any questions for us, as there's been quite a few, do send them in, and we'll get back to you. But for the time being, we're going to take a very short break. We're back at the top of the hour. Stay tuned.
Coverage continues in a moment.